In the forgotten corners of our planet, in agricultural drainage ditches and the stagnant waters we instinctively avert our eyes from, the most violent biological explosion in natural history is taking place right now. To the untrained human eye, what you are seeing is merely pond scum, a green, viscous film that suggests death, decay, and neglect. But science sees a completely different scene. We're looking at wolffia globosa. It is not algae. It is a fully formed, flowering plant belonging to the family Lemnaceae. But it is a rebellious organism. In the evolutionary race that has spanned millions of years, while massive trees chose a strategy of complexity, building wooden structures to fight gravity, wolffia chose a strategy of radical reductionism. This organism has abandoned everything botany considers essential parts. It has no roots to absorb water, for it swims in it. It has no stems to support it, for buoyancy is enough. It has no complex leaves. It has reduced its entire body to a microscopic green dot the size of a pinhead, consisting of 100% active metabolic tissue. In biology, this is absolute efficiency, an organism with zero structural waste. Before we dive deep, join our community of curious minds. Subscribe to The Career Botanist for the hidden science of nature. Let's begin. To the naked eye, it is just nature, but look closer. It is engineering. It is economics. It is survival. Welcome to the hidden side of biology. This is modern botany. To understand the genius of this design, compare it to our most advanced crop, the soybean. To produce protein, a soy plant must first invest 60% of its energy and time into building roots, stems, and fibers, parts that are inedible to humans. This is a heavy structural tax that the plant pays to live on land. Wolffia does not pay this tax. Because it lives in a nutrient-rich aquatic medium, every photon of light it absorbs is immediately converted into growth and reproduction. This allows it to double its entire biomass every 24 to 30 hours. This is not growth. This is exponential multiplication. If you planted a hectare of soy and a hectare of wolffia, the wolffia would produce 10 times more protein annually than the soy. This plant does not follow traditional seasonal cycles. It reproduces via vegetative propagation, fission. The mother births a daughter, and the daughter births another within hours. It is a biological photocopying machine that does not stop unless the water dries up or the food runs out. This aggressive growth behavior is exactly why humans have classified it as an enemy rather than recognizing it as a miracle. When we dive into the chemical composition of this organism, we find ourselves facing a puzzle that has baffled botanists for decades. The classical rules of biology state plants are poor in protein and completely lack active vitamin B12. Wolffia has broken both of these rules. First, the protein. Protein makes up about 45% of its dry weight, but more important than quantity is the amino acid profile, PDAAS. Wolffia contains all 9 essential amino acids that the human body cannot synthesize in ratios that rival whey protein and eggs, far outperforming traditional plant proteins that require dietary combining to be complete. Second, the greater mystery, vitamin B12. This vitamin is the missing link in plant-based diets, typically synthesized only by bacteria in the guts of animals. Recent research has revealed that wolffia has developed a symbiotic relationship with specific bacteria living inside its microscopic cavities. These bacteria produce B12, and the plant absorbs it and stores it in the form of bioavailable cobalamin, ready for human absorption. We are not talking about a vegetable here. We are talking about a micro-ecosystem that functions as a pharmaceutical factory and food source simultaneously. And here we arrive at the most tragic paradox of the modern age. Why do we fight this organism? Why does the United States alone spend hundreds of millions annually in the aquatic herbicide market to kill wolffia? The reason lies in our profound misunderstanding of the role of indicator species. The massive appearance of wolffia in a body of water is not the problem, it is the response. Our industrial agriculture pumps massive amounts of nitrogen and phosphorus into groundwater and rivers. These elements are fertilizers that cause water suffocation. Wolffia appears as a hyperaccumulator. It is attempting to save the ecosystem by absorbing this toxic excess of nitrogen and converting it into biomass, protein. It is the liver of the river, trying to filter out the toxins. When we intervene chemically to kill it for the sake of aesthetic clear water, we commit a double environmental crime. First, we kill the cleaning organism. Second, when the wolffia dies and settles at the bottom, it rots and releases all the toxins it absorbed back into the water, fueling a new cycle of pollution that requires more herbicides. It is a vicious cycle of profit for chemical companies and a disaster for the ecosystem. We treat this plant as an alien invader, but this is a modern form of amnesia. If we look at the botanical records of the Han Dynasty, or the oral traditions of the Isan people in northern Thailand, the narrative changes completely. They did not call it a weed, they called it Kai Nam, eggs of the water. For generations, ancient physicians prescribed this plant not just as food, but as a cooling agent for fevers. They understood intuitively what we are only now proving empirically, that this plant is a powerhouse of anti-inflammatory compounds. In evolutionary terms, humans and wolffia have a ghost lineage of cooperation. We didn't need laboratories to tell us it was edible. We needed hunger and observation. The tragedy is that as Western industrial agriculture spread, it exported its aesthetics along with its seeds. We replaced harvesting abundance with maintaining appearances. We traded a free, high-protein superfood for the sterile look of a swimming pool. We didn't just forget this plant, we were trained to despise it. In the Mojave Desert, the Joshua tree stands as an ecological widow, still producing fruit for a giant ground sloth that went extinct 11,000 years ago. Without the sloth to eat it and spread its seeds, the tree is trapped. Wolffia is facing a similar, though less obvious, crisis. It is an organism designed to be eaten. Its reproductive strategy, this explosive exponential growth, is an evolutionary bet that something will come along and consume the biomass. In nature, that would be waterfowl and fish. But in our nutrient-saturated artificial waterways, the growth outpaces natural predators. When wolffia covers a pond and suffocates it, it is not an act of aggression, it is a cry for a harvester. The plant is begging for a megafauna partner to complete the cycle. And here is the revelation. We are the new sloth. The ecosystem needs us to harvest this plant. If we don't remove the biomass, the cycle breaks and the water dies. By refusing to eat it, we are not just wasting food, we are abdicating our ecological responsibility as the apex species in this system. This ecological responsibility translates directly into hard economics. Let's look at the manure loop. Industrial animal agriculture faces a massive problem: waste. Lagoons filled with nitrogen and phosphorus that are toxic to the local water table. Currently, we pay millions to treat or hide this waste. But if we view this through the lens of a botanist, that toxic lagoon is not waste, it is liquid gold. It is fertilizer. By seeding these lagoons with wolffia, we can capture those nutrients. The plant scrubs the water, locking the nitrogen into its tissues. We can then harvest the wolffia, dry it, and feed it back to the pigs as a high-protein supplement. The waste becomes the fuel. The problem becomes the solution. This is a closed-loop system. It eliminates the need for imported soy from deforested rainforests, and it eliminates the risk of groundwater contamination. It is biologically elegant. It is economically superior, and yet it remains rare. Why? because it disrupts the supply chains of feed companies that rely on selling you the problem and the solution.
The final hurdle isn't biological or chemical or even industrial. It is psychological. It is the yuck factor. Evolution has wired humans to be wary of green, stagnant water. It signals bacteria, parasites, danger. Overcoming this instinct requires a rebranding of nature itself. We have done it before. Lobsters were once considered sea cockroaches, fit only for prisoners. Mushrooms are fungi that grow on decaying matter. We changed the story, and the value changed. Today, companies are processing wolffia into fine powders, stripping it of its aquatic context, and renaming it monkai, or water lentils. They are hiding the origin to bypass our instincts. But true progress will come when we don't need to hide it, when we can look at a tray of floating green spheres and see them not as slime, but as freshness. The barrier is in our minds, and it is the most expensive barrier we have.
NASA and the European Space Agency do not share our terrestrial blindness. In plans for Mars colonization, wolffia is not a weed, it is the cornerstone of closed ecological life support systems. In space, you cannot afford the cost of inefficiency. Wolffia converts astronaut waste and carbon dioxide into oxygen and pure protein in hours. The lesson we must learn here on Earth is one of humility. The solution to global food security issues, soil degradation, and carbon emissions from livestock farming may not lie in complex technology or expensive genetic engineering. The solution floats silently atop our waters. We need to shift from a combat model to a harvest model. Instead of poisoning our ponds, we must transform into the new giant sloth, that extinct animal that once dispersed the seeds of the Joshua tree. We must become the consumers of this green abundance. Wolffia is a message from nature that says, I have done all the hard work. I got rid of the roots and stems to give you pure energy. All you have to do is stop killing me and start eating.